Hello and welcome. This is the first video in our trading course. In this video, we're going to go over everything basic for Forex, learning how to install MetaTrader 4, customizing your charts, measuring pips, adding objects, all the stuff that you're going to need to know in order to use our strategy. So although this lesson is going to be more on the basic side, very important that you do engage, go through the entire video, make sure that you fully understand everything that we're doing here, because we will use it in our strategy. All right, so what I'm going to do is start out by installing MetaTrader 4. If you followed any of our links, most of these look the same. Once you've signed up with a broker, this could be Prosperity FX or any of the brokers that we recommend, or if you have your own broker, you should have a back office where you're able to log in. You'll have your dashboard, your accounts. Most of these look pretty similar. What we're looking for is to create a live or demo account, download MetaTrader 4, and do the installation. Okay, so I don't have an account with these guys. The only account I may have is a rebate account. So this is not a tradable account. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over to create an account. Okay, from here we're going to select, let's just go for a demo to start with. All right, if you don't need a demo, then you could do a MetaTrader 4 ECN. That's what you would set up if you were not doing a demo. Okay, now your currency, you'd select USD or whatever your currency is. Just put it on 500, and let's just put 10,000 in here. This is a virtual account, so we'll create the account. Enable two-factor authentication. So okay, let's go over here, figure out how to do that. Two-factor authentication, I'm going to use it with my phone number because I've already got my phone number on here. So let's see, I've got it here in my text. All right, easy as that. So now let's go back over here, accounts, create, demo, USD, 500. This is your leverage. You're not going to need to use this much leverage, but it's fine to have this available. I'll show you how you can use leverage later. Okay, so go ahead and hit create account. Okay, and now let's see if we can see it here in our back office now. Not yet. Let me see. I've got an email here. Okay, so I just got an email from them. What I'm going to do is open up a new browser and go to my email. You would do the same thing. This is the email that I got from them here. And this has your demo account number, your password, and your investor password. Okay, what you'll do is you're going to click right here. If you're on a Windows, you're going to click download MetaTrader for Windows. If you're on a Mac, you'd click it here. I think that there's probably a way to find it inside of this area as well. Let me just check and see. Downloads, here we go. Yeah, so right here, you see we could also download directly from here. Okay, so let's see what this one is. I'm new to this broker as well, so I'm just checking it out. This is literally the same thing that you guys would do. So, all right, so from here, you can go ahead and download the MetaTrader 4. You can see it pops up here. The main thing is that it is MetaTrader 4. You've got to make sure that you're downloading MetaTrader 4, not MetaTrader 5. A lot of websites may have MetaTrader 4 like show up, or you may think you're downloading MetaTrader 4, but ends up being MetaTrader 5. You'll have to search on the internet or reach out for help if you find that you're downloading MetaTrader 5. From what I can see is it says Prosperity 4 setup. I'm going to click on it here and it will tell me what we're installing. So, okay, I'm going to hit yes. All right, this is MetaQuotes. I like to go to the settings here. All right, MetaTrader 4 terminal. You can uncheck this. You can also choose where you want to save this, okay? So if you want to save it somewhere else, you can do that here. You can also just leave everything default and just hit next, okay? Now remember, we've got our password and login details right here, so we're just gonna wait for that. Okay, and then MetaTrader 4 will pop up by itself now. All right, let's take our login details. It's important that you make sure that you're that you've put exactly what they have here. So you want to copy this demo account number, go to demo, existing trade account, you'll log in. Grab that password, put it right there, and hit finished. Right away, look down here at that no connection. That's gonna let you know if there's a problem. Like as you see, I logged in, but nothing is happening. Okay, so where you can find out what the problem is, you can go to your experts, you can go to your journal, you can look for errors here. But as of right now, and here we go. So you see that it took a moment for it to log in and connect to a data center, but as soon as it did, you got the connection status right over here. You'll hear that little incoming mail, and now you're ready to go. So you can see here's that $10,000 we put in there, and you've got your MetaTrader 4 platform. Now, the goal is to get your platform looking like this, nice, customized. You've got all your objects here exactly the way you want to use them, and that's what this video is for. Okay, so first we've gone through installing. So you now have a working MetaTrader 4. You could take trades, you can do all that stuff. I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's just continue going through a little bit of navigating MetaTrader 4. I want to explain some of the most important sections on MetaTrader 4, some of the places that you're going to use the most as a trader. So first of all, let's start over here on the Market Watch. You can get to the Market Watch by going view and then go to Market Watch, or you can use the hotkeys, which I assume you'll learn. I use the hotkeys Control M and D and N and T and so on. So for the most part, you're going to be using Market Watch, Navigator, and Terminal. So you Control T, D, and M. All right, so your Market Watch, this is where you're going to view all the pairs that you can trade or any of the assets that are available to you by your broker. What you'll want to do is right click, and I like to put all of mine in order. So the best way to do that is to just go to hide all. So it's not going to hide them if you have them open in your platform. So you'll want to go in and close all of these. Hide all. Let's see. All right, it's not hiding for us. So we'll go ahead and go into the symbols. So right click anywhere here, go to symbols. This is going to show you everything that's available through your broker. Okay, here we are. So let's do that one more time. We're going to right click on symbols, pops open here. Now you can see all the symbols that are available. What I'll do is I'll go first in here and I'll remove these. That way we've got a blank, clean slate. So I like to keep all of mine in order, and it's pretty easy to do so if you do it just like this. So first of all, we like to have the majors up here at the top. These are all of the major Forex pairs that are traded. So I'll start with Euro USD, and this is just my preference. You can do it how you want, but we've got Euro USD, just double click, GBP USD, AUD USD, what's the other one? NZD USD, and then we can throw these on here. And at this point, you see these are already grouped and categorized together. So I go in the order of which I like to trade the best. So I'll go like this and add these first. Then I'll go in and add my Euro pairs. Oh, I forgot that one. If you forget one, you can drag and drop these. I'll show you how to do that in a sec. All right, let's put our AUD pairs in here. And NZD. Now that GBP one that we mistakenly put here, we can just drag it up. Just click, highlight it, click, drag, and boom, there it is. So now you see we've got all these grouped together. You've also got your golds, cryptos, things like that. So if you're a big gold trader, you could drop that on here. Maybe if you like silver, you can put that on here. It's always good to throw some indexes on here too, like the dollar. I like to have the dollar if it's available. They'll put them under here, or they'll put them under sometimes right here, futures. So you could put that here, and like we'll put the US 30 on here. So now we've got a good mix of pairs that we can trade. All you've got to do in order to open that chart is to click, drag, and drop, and you're ready to go. Okay, so now we've got this set up the way we want. Again, we can hide or show that by pressing Control M. Just like that, it'll appear and disappear. All right, for the next part, this is your navigator. You will spend a lot of time in your navigator. You're going to want to get familiar with this. You're also going to be installing indicators into your data folder, which is part of this navigator here. I'll show you what I mean. So first of all, the important thing about the navigator is this is where you manage your accounts. If you have multiple accounts through Prosperity FX, you'll see your live and demo accounts all underneath this accounts tab. You'll want to be able to quickly switch between demo, live, or a different account, however many accounts you're trading. You'll want to make sure that you know you can find these here. Control N for navigator. That'll appear, disappear. The next section is the indicator section. This is important, and a lot of people get this part messed up. So pay close attention to this. Rewatch it if you need to. Just remember this part of the video so that if you ever find yourself having trouble, you can reference this, okay? So all MetaTrader 4 indicators can be accessed through this indicator part here, okay? To add an indicator to your chart, let's say we want to use the alligator indicator, all right? All you've got to do is have your chart here, click, hold, and drag. Okay, and now you'll see the settings come up. You can adjust your settings here. As time goes on, you'll become more and more familiar with how you can set up indicators and customize indicators. But for the most part, all indicators will have an inputs tab, and that's where you're going to adjust settings, okay? Once you've adjusted the settings the way you want them, you'll just press OK, and now you see the indicator applied on your chart. Now, if you ever want to modify that indicator, maybe you need to change a setting again after you added it, this is the common mistake. Don't do this part right here. This is going to mess you up. So if you need to adjust the settings, you do not do this. You do not go and click on here and readjust them and then press OK. Okay, let's say we meant to put 21 here. All right, and maybe we wanted these to be aqua colored instead, right? And so this is what a lot of people do is they press OK, but now what you see is it actually added another one on there. When you want to make adjustments to an indicator that you've already put on your chart, what you'll do is you'll right click the middle of your chart. Make sure you're right clicking a blank spot. If you right click on the indicator, sometimes it will give you options for that indicator. You want to right click on a blank spot, click on indicator list. Okay, if you have an indicator loaded on your chart, you'll have the indicator list. If you don't have an indicator loaded on your chart, you will not see this tab called indicator list. All right, now you can see we loaded 2 indicators. All right, if you ever do this by mistake, it happens to the best of us, just click one and press delete. And you're fine. Now we're back to that original indicator that we were messing with. We can adjust our settings here and then press OK. Close, and those adjustments will be made. Okay, so right click, click indicator list, double click, and then you can make your adjustments. Okay, so that's how you load an indicator on here. You can have as many indicators on a chart as you want. We don't recommend that you do that because as you add more and more on there, you're just going to have more and more stuff on your charts, right? So keep your charts clean, keep them clear. You don't want to make this look like an art project. We want to keep our trading really, really simple. Okay, so right click, indicator list. You can remove any and everything that you need. All right, so if you need to close a chart, you just click on the X right up here in the corner. You can also press Control F4 and that will close the chart. So you can also open multiple charts. So if we wanted to watch Euro USD plus GBP USD and AUD USD, we've got now 3 charts. And you'll see down here in the bottom of the screen, as I click on a pair, I'm right clicking and I'm clicking chart window, it's tabbing them. So I'm actually able to switch back and forth between them. Alternatively, I can click this button right up here and this will tile the charts where they're not overlapping. And as long as you don't have too many charts open, this can be really useful. If you have a lot of charts open, it's going to make all of them about this big, and it wouldn't be too useful at that point to you. Okay, so that's how you can set those up. You can apply indicators to all these charts independently. Each chart is independent of another one. Just because you added a chart here or added an indicator here doesn't mean that it's going to be moved onto this one. If you want to do that, what I recommend, and this is what I do, is I try to run on one chart. So I'll set up my one chart exactly the way that I want it. I'll put my indicators on here and and then you can actually switch the chart. So you can just click, drag, and you see I'm on Euro USD. I can just change it to GBP USD, and my indicators are still on there. Okay, so all I've got to do is switch to another chart, and bam, they're all on there for me. That way I don't have to reapply the indicators over and over and over again. Okay, so I'm going to go over how to install an indicator for you. Okay, so when you download an indicator, so let's just say that we just got this indicator. One sec. Okay, so I've got an indicator over here on my desktop, all right, and I'm going to show you how to install it. So if you were to go to File, this is how you install an indicator, okay? File, Open Data Folder. This is going to allow you to add things to the list of indicators here. There's thousands of custom indicators for this MetaTrader 4. Now, once you press File, Open Data Folder, it's going to open up just like this. All you need to do is go to MQL4 and double click, then go to Indicators and double click. Now this right here, what you're looking at is this right here. Okay, these are where the files go and then they appear here. You cannot save a zip folder inside of here. You can create a folder inside of here to categorize your indicators. Maybe you have a system from, you know, this person, a system from that person, a system from this one, and you want to create folders called, you know, system 1, system 2, system 3, and then drop your indicators in that. You can do that, and that's fine. Otherwise, you can just drop everything here. The main thing is that at its core, it cannot be a zip file, and it needs to ultimately have this MQL4 or EX4 file. If you've downloaded an indicator from me, you're going to have the EX4 file. Okay? How you will install it is very simple. You would just go to your downloads after you had downloaded the indicator from the website, or maybe I sent it to you. However you got the indicator over the internet, you had to have downloaded it to your computer. And what I like to do is drag them to my desktop. That way they're there and I can easily find them. Once they're on from my desktop or on my desktop, I can simply click them, which I'm doing now, and I'm dragging that file down to this folder. This is my indicator folder. I'm going to move to indicators. You'll see that it installed right here. Now it's in there. And what the next step is to come back to this navigator, right click, press refresh, and then you're going to see that indicator in here, and then you can add the indicator to your chart. Okay, so you've got to make sure to press refresh so that that indicator can do whatever it's got to do and update and all that good stuff, and then it's available to add to your platform. Okay, that's how you install an indicator. Very simple. You just go to File, Open Data Folder, MQL4, indicators, drop it in this folder. It needs to be this type of file, .ex4, okay? If you're doing anything else, it's not gonna work, okay? So now let's go over, we're gonna start getting into the trading a little bit now, right? Actually, I wanna show you one more thing before we start talking about candlesticks and anything else. I wanna show you one more place. We've got our terminal here. All right, this is where all your trading stuff takes place. So you've got you're going to use a few tabs here for the most part. You're going to use trade, which this will show you all of your open trades. So if we have a chart, and I'm going to show you how to take trades, but if we have a chart here, just a sec. If we have an open trade, it's going to show up here. So you see, I just took a trade, and you'll see here, you'll see your profit, right? And your total profit, your balance, your actual equity. So as you have a trade open, it's floating. All right, you can see your free margin here, and this is where you're going to see all of your open active trades. Now, if I was to close this trade, it's going to be under my account history. So now I can see my total profit loss. I can see what trade had happened. I can also pull a report from here. If I were to right click and click on all history and then right click and click save as detailed report, I can actually look at a detailed report of my trading history. Okay, this would give me very good information, very good insight into my trading account. I can see my equity curve, which we should see going up. All right, you can see your consecutive wins, your drawdown, a lot of good information here. So make sure that you're utilizing that. Okay, so now the other area that you'll be getting into from time to time will be your alerts section. I'll show you how to set up alerts later. And your experts or journal. I'm probably the only person that's going to ask you to send me a screenshot from experts or journal, because these areas are, this is the place that MetaTrader 4 stores errors, alerts, you know, anything that the indicators do, functions that we may need to see for troubleshooting, will be stored either in the experts or the journal. So if you're trying to add something to your chart and it's not working, the error is going to be inside of here, right? So earlier I tried to add an indicator and it would not add to my chart. It's going to let me know the error right here, and I'll ask you for a screenshot. Outside of that, you're most likely not going to be using this. You're going to be over here on your trade and your account history, and that's about it. All right. All these three, the Market Watch, Navigator, and Terminal, these can all be accessed by going to View and just putting a check or just clicking on one of these right here, okay? I want to also show you how you can... actually, I'm going to save that for a little bit later. Once we get into taking trades, I'm going to show you guys how to take partial profits on trades. So we'll get into that in here just a little bit. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to go into what a candlestick is, and then I'm going to show you how to adjust the colors of this chart. I just want to first explain what the candlestick is so that you actually know what you're looking at, and then we'll actually adjust these colors. So as you can see right now, I don't have candlesticks on my chart. I just have these weird looking open, high, low, close bars on here. What we want to do is we want to go over here and we want to click on candlesticks. So now you can see that we've got candlesticks on here. All right, now, oops. For a candlestick, really easy to understand these things. Depending on the color you have, your chart set up is what color a bullish or bearish candle is going to be. All right, and I'll explain that. So this is an example of a bullish candle, and the color is green. So when you're looking at a candle, what this represents is the data during that time frame. So if we're looking at a 1 hour time frame, each candle represents 1 hour's worth of price data, movement, high, low, open, and close. So what happens is at the beginning of a new hour, this candle opens. This is the opening price. remember, everything we're looking at, when we're looking at a candle over here on the left side of my screen, that correlates directly over here to the right side, which is 1.21525, right? That's the price. So the open price here was right there, okay? Now, how we know this is a bullish candle is because it closed higher than it opened, all right? And that's what makes it bullish. If it was to open and close lower than the open, it would be bearish, meaning that price moved down during that period. Okay, so like I said, this is very simple, very basic stuff. Opened up here, the low of this time period being the 1 hour time frame, it went as low as this price. It opened here, went as low as this price. It ultimately went as high as this price, but closed here. So what happened was it opened, it dropped down, it pulled all the way up, and then it pulled back a little bit and closed here. So this is just letting us know the open price, the close price, the high and the low of that time period. Okay, same for a bearish candle. This is where it opened. It closed lower than it opened. At one point, it was as low as this before it pulled back up to here and closed. Okay, we will want to pay attention to these wicks. These wicks will allow us different opportunities in trading. There's also a lot to be learned about wicks in general, the behavior, when you see certain types of wicks, what you can do, and I'll show you that as these videos go on. Okay, so very, very simple. In order to look at candlesticks, just always remember you've got your open, close, high, and low. This is of one time period. We're looking at an H1, meaning a 1 hour, meaning that this candle here opened, went a little bit lower, ultimately it closed all the way up here. This is a bullish candle, okay? All right, so now that you know what a candlestick is, let me show you how to customize these. So when you want to customize the color of your chart, you're going to right click a blank spot on the chart. You're going to click properties. This is your chart properties. All right. Before we go into customizing the color, there's a few things that a lot of people don't know about here. All right. First of all, go over here and put a check in this box that says chart on foreground. That's going to make sure that your chart and candles are always at the top. No matter how many layers of stuff you may end up putting on your platform, indicators and this and that, your candlesticks will always be on the top, so at least you can see those. All right. The next thing is this chart shift. A lot of people like this. I don't think I've ever met anybody that doesn't like this, but what that represents is this right corner right here. So you see how close this is to the price. A lot of people don't like that. They like to have a little bit of space between the last candle and this price. It's a personal preference. If you'll see what it does to mine, and if you like it, then great. You can do this. Okay, so chart on foreground, put a check. Chart shift, put a check in it. Chart auto scroll, what that means is that on each incoming tick, meaning every change in price, the chart is going to auto scroll all the way to the far right. That's a good thing to know if you're trying to back test something back in 2015 and it keeps snapping you to the right side of the chart every second or every 2 seconds. That's because you have chart auto scroll turned on. These buttons here are quick triggers for chart shift and auto scroll. So this is the chart shift, this is the auto scroll. So you can actually change this for each chart independently, but this is a default setting here, meaning that every time you open a new chart, it's going to set it up like this for you. Okay. Next thing that you're going to want is your period separators. Okay. I'll explain those in a second. Just do what I showed you here and then press OK, and you'll see, boom, my chart has some space over here. Also, if I were to scroll to the left, you'll see I'm not touching the mouse, but on the next incoming tick, it should pull my chart to the right side of the screen. Okay, so there it goes. All right, now the other thing you may notice is now I have these vertical lines, these vertical white lines that are going down throughout the chart. Those are those period separators. You can, the hotkey for adding or removing those is Control Y, like yellow, Okay, and I love having these on here because they let me know the end of the trading day. So for Forex pairs, that's at 5 p.m. EST every day. You don't want to trade around that time because of the market reset. That's when the trading day is resetting. If something's going to happen wrong or weird in your trading, it's going to happen there. You're going to notice a lot of brokers will increase the spread. There's gaps that may happen at the end of the day. It's just an area where, as a day trader, you don't want to mess around taking new trades or holding on to trades that are, barely into profit around that time. So Control Y will add or remove those. Depending on the time frame, you're going to see different period separators. So from the H1 down, you're always going to see day separators. If you go to the H4, it's going to be week separators. If you go to the day one here, daily time frame, it's going to be a monthly period separator. And for the weekly, I believe this is a year, so 2008, 2019, yeah. So this is a yearly separator here, and I believe the same for the monthly. Yes, it's a yearly separator. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at anything above the H1. You're actually not looking at a daily period separator. This is the difference of 1 week to a new week, okay? So let's get back over here now. We're going to go back to the chart properties. So we'll right click our chart, go to properties. Now we will adjust the colors. So now that you know what a candlestick is, we can actually adjust the bars and the candles. So remember the wicks that I was talking about, these right here, these wicks, that is the bar. So for a bar up, that would be a bullish candle. Let's say we want all of our bullish candles to be blue. Okay, so I'm going to put it deep sky blue. Now you can see the outline of the candle is now blue. Now let's say bar down, we want all of our candles to be orange. I'm just going to do orange for this video. So now we've got orange outlines. Now for our actual bodies, the body of the candle, we're just going to match it. In my experience, the candles sticks look much nicer if you just match the colors. I know some people, they like to add, a lighter color and then a darker color, and they try to get too creative with their candles. What ends up happening is when you zoom out, the candles start kind of squishing together and it looks funny to me. Again, it's a personal preference. I would prefer to just keep these things the same color and I don't have to worry about it. So for my bull candle, I'm just going to make it deep sky blue. For the bar down, I'm going to make it orange. And the background here, this is our actual background that you see. It's currently black. I'm going to lighten that up a little. So what you can do is you can pick one of these colors if you'd like. I like to do a custom color and I'll just lighten it up a bit like this. I still like the dark background, but I just like it to be a little bit brighter. The foreground is everything that you're seeing around it. So that's kind of like the candlestick on foreground, right? So that's going to really be your outside colors here. So let me show you. If we go and change this to let's do like green just for this, lime green. You see that it's going to change the outside colors along with any words, anything that's kind of floating on top of this chart. All right, line graph, you're not really going to be using. I actually changed that to none. And then what else do we have? We've got, the grid. So I don't use the grid. I'll show you how to remove that. You can see what the grid looks like. It's all those little squares, but it is good to pick a good grid color because that's actually going to adjust your actual price line right here, the one that's connected to current price. So if you change it to, I like to change it to a color that I'm not going to be using. So let's just say magenta for now. I know this is going to look kind of crazy right when I press OK, but we're going to get rid of that grid. So press OK, and now you can see. So you can see how the colors are changed. The background colors are changed as well. So now let's get rid of that grid. We can do that by pressing Control G. Okay, so Control G will add or remove the grid. I don't know anybody that uses the grid. I don't need it for anything. If you do need it, then you just leave it on there and pick a color that you don't mind. I don't use it at all, so there I am. So now you can also do view. No, this one's in here. So you go to right-click, properties, and show grid right there. Okay, so you can just uncheck that. if somehow you've gotten volume stuck on your chart like this, you can also remove that inside of here. All right, so now our charts are looking a lot better. We've got the colors that we want. We have the period separators. Everything's looking good. I'm going to get rid of some of these tabs so I've got a full screen. Next thing that we're going to do is talk about this whole section up here. Get this thing set up the way you want it. I'd highly recommend you set this thing up exactly the way you want it, because you're going to be using it a lot, switching between time frames, a lot of different things. So anything can be adjusted here. This is a toolbar, all right? So if you want to adjust any of these, you can see how this one is actually separate. So this, I can move it down here. I can move these just like this if I wanted to take up a little bit less space, right? I can do all of that. So I don't actually use any of these here. So we can get rid of the stuff here. So what is this? The standard. All right, let me make sure. Yeah, see, I don't really need any of those right here. So I'll get rid of standard. That leaves me with the stuff that I actually use, which are my shapes, my time frames, my candles, my zoom options, the being able to tile them, and so on. So now that we have this set up, let's actually right click here and let's move this over here. This is where I keep mine. I like to keep mine on the right side because I use this a lot, and I believe you will too. So let's right click here, go to customize. Okay, so not sure why this one's taking a little bit longer. It may just be because it's a brand new platform, but either way, here we are. So now we're customizing our toolbar here, okay? So we can add and remove. So some of the things that I don't use at all is this channel. So I can click it and I can just remove it, okay? I don't use a text label, so I'll remove it. And I use everything else. Now I'm missing a few things that I do use, all right? And that would be like, say, the Fibonacci expansion, the rectangle, triangle, eclipse, all right? And that's it. So that's all I use. So now I like to group these all together. So my Fibonacci, I'm gonna stick that up here next to my other Fibonacci. So we'll just go up to there. My text, that can stay right where it is. My arrows, that's fine. And my actual rectangle, triangle, and eclipse, that's all good right here, or ellipse, whatever you call it. So press close, and now you can see that they're added here. All right, we're not done yet. If you were to try and use this, you're going to see that it's just a big blue box, right? What we like to do is we actually right click, all right? So once you've dropped an object on your screen, you see how I'm able to move it. So I'm doing that by double clicking one of the corners, all right? And you'll have to remember this, because if you just double click anywhere, it's not gonna work. You see, I'm double clicking. I could double click all day. It's not gonna work. You have to kind of know where these are, and it's always gonna be on a corner. So if you're drawing a box, it's gonna be a corner and in the middle. So instead of trying to find the middle, just go to a corner and double click. You'll know that you've highlighted it when you see all these little dots pop up. All right. Once the dots pop up, you can right click, go to rectangle properties, and now we can actually adjust these and customize them. All right. And we use these a lot. So I uncheck this box here and I make this a little bit wider, just like you've seen here, and we can adjust the colors as well. So I like to go about here. It's totally up to you exactly where you do it, but you'll see what I mean. So now when I press OK, we actually have more of a hollow box where I can see through it. It's not as, it's not like in your way when you're charting, and I can also make straight lines with it. And this is how you're gonna see me do this a lot. So instead of using a trend line or a horizontal line that goes all the way across the whole screen, I can just highlight something just like this and make a line just like that. Okay, so that's how you adjust this. Once you place them, you can always replace them just by double clicking, highlighting them, and you're good to go. So it's really easy to mark up different zones and things like that. Okay, so we've got the box drawn. Let's go to the triangle. Triangle requires 3 clicks. So 1, 2, 3, and now you've got a triangle. Same concept. If you want to adjust it, double click, right click, triangle properties, remove that, change the color, thicken it up if you want, press OK, and you're good to go. So you can see now we've got our shapes here, and let's just do the circle. I think this one requires 3 clicks too, 1 or 2 or 3. I don't know, but here's 1. Okay, it just takes 1. So I don't use this very much. So what you want to do is not just drop it. You want to click, hold, and drag. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see that yet, but it's drawing a little thing here. Now, if I double click on one of the corners like we do with everything, we can now start adjusting that circle and make it however big we want it. Same thing applies if we right click it, draw object, change the color, change the thickness. Now we got a circle. Okay, so this part right here will save you a ton of time. I hope that you're still paying attention, because you're gonna ask how to do this later when you see everybody else doing it. Once you've placed an object on your screen, you can duplicate it so you don't have to recreate it all over again, right? Maybe you want it to be the exact same size, or maybe you just don't want to have to constantly recreate and recreate and recreate. So all you need to do is first highlight it. Highlighting it or selecting it by double clicking a corner. When it's highlighted, you'll see the dots. You want to press and hold Control, left click. Once you've highlighted it, aim at one of those dots, right? Let's restart here. So aim at a dot, press and hold Control, left click and hold. So now I'm holding Control and I'm holding the left clicker, and I'm going to start to drag. You see how it duplicated it? Okay, so let's try that again. Let's double click it to highlight it. I'm aiming at a dot. I'm pressing and holding Control. I'm left click and holding, and I'm going to drag. All right, you'll get really fast. Control, left click, hold it all, and then boom, you're ready to go. Same thing with all these. See, I can just highlight away, double click, highlight away, double click. Save you a lot of time. All right, instead of having to go and recreate these, you can just do this, and it's a lot faster. Makes it much easier when you're trying to point out some zones that you want to show somebody, and you can just drop them like that. And now we've got everything all marked up the way that we want it. Okay, so that's pretty much all of the actual shape tools that we're going to use. The text stuff here, this is just text. You just click and type in test, and you can adjust your colors. Boom. You can double click, Control, hold, left click, hold, and duplicate those as well. Every object on MetaTrader 4 can be duplicated by the pressing, highlighting, pressing and holding Control, holding left click, and dragging. So the next thing that we're going to use is a trend line. Okay, so by default, you guys are going to, when you'll click on this trend line here, you'll click and hold. If you just click, you'll see nothing happens. You have to click, hold, and start dragging to the next place. You see how it's raying out like that? So let's say we want to connect this to over here. We do that. Now, if we select it by double clicking one of the edges, then we can, I don't know how that happened. Maybe I had to. So here, let me restart. So we get a trend line, click, hold, drag over to here. It knows that I just dragged over to there. It'll actually snap to it. So now if I double click, you'll see that it's connected here and it's connected here. If I move this, it's gonna change the entire direction here of this one that's being rayed out. So I don't like to use these because they do ray out so far, right? They ray out to the right forever, right? So what I'll do is I right click it to customize it, just like we do with all objects. And then you go to parameters and click ray, and it's done. So now I can use it just where I need to use it, right? I can just drag it over here. Maybe we were waiting on a break of this, right? And then there we are. I could leave this here to explain later why I used it, but it's not in the way as the chart goes on. It's staying over here as this chart continues to develop. Okay, so this can also be duplicated, all right? And this is very handy if you're doing something like creating a channel, right? Maybe you've identified a a trend, right? And you're looking at it, like this, and you want to make a channel, you can double click it, and boom, now you're ready to go, just like that. All right. Next thing that we've got is the horizontal line. The horizontal line is great, but it goes all the way to the left and all the way to the right. So you only want to use it in situations where that's going to be acceptable. So as you see, it's all the way to the left, all the way to the right. I can do the same thing. As you see, it's highlighted. You can tell because of the dot on the end of it. See, not highlighted, highlighted. I can press Control, hold it, left click, Control, and I can drag it on down here. So maybe now we mark this area. And now what we have is our high on the chart and our low highlighted. All right. The other one is the vertical line, and you'll only use these on special occasions. Maybe when you're trying to explain something that happened on a specific day or after a specific day, you'll say, hey, here's a vertical line and look to the right of it. So vertical line, horizontal line, you really don't need them too often. I like to use the rectangle tool. The rectangle tool is my go-to because of like what I said. I don't like to have lines extending to the far right if I don't need them. So for the rectangle, I can just do like this and it's done. So, and it only goes as far as I want it to. All right. So what else? What else do we have up here? We've got templates. I'll show you those later. These are the just time periods. And this is an indicator list as well if you want it. And these are those chart scroll and chart shifts. So if I want to stay to the far right, you see now I have no room over there. And if I like the room, then I'll do that. If I want the chart to auto scroll, then I'll leave this on. This messes a lot of new traders up. They cannot figure out why. They're over here trying to practice, right? They're doing their homework and they're over here drawing on it like this, doing a good job. And all of a sudden, when an incoming tick comes in, basically a new change in price, as they're doing this, it will pull it over to the right. So right now the market is slow. It's 350 where I'm at. So there's not a whole lot of incoming ticks, but when we get one, it's going to snap it over to the side of the chart. So it's also really useful if you're way back here. Like you see, I'm back in. See, it just snapped it right there. So like, let's say if I was testing something way back here. So I'm back in December of 2020 and I need to get to the right side of the chart. I can just click here and it'll bring me back over there. Okay, so then the next thing is our zoom options. If you want to zoom in on your chart, you can do it like that and zoom out like this. You can scale your chart by clicking on the price and holding and moving like this. This will squish it up if you need to see. Sometimes the price gets way up here and you need to see up there a little bit. You can scale up and down like that. And then we've got line charts, candle charts, and bar charts, and then this is how you switch your time frame. So you can switch to the 4 hour, 1 hour, 30 minute, so on. And that's about everything you need to know about MetaTrader 4. A lot of things that a lot of people actually don't know. Some of these tips and tricks that help you navigate a little easier and more efficiently. Rather you spend time focusing on your trading than trying to navigate around your platform and getting stuck. So the only other thing I want to show you about objects would be how to remove all of them. Now that we've added all of these objects, what if we need to get rid of one, right? We could click on it, right? And in order to remove an object, you have to double click it, right? Because we need to highlight it. So let's click on that circle. We're gonna have to click right in the middle because we don't know where the corners are. So, because it's a circle. So we would double click and we could right click and press delete. All right. You could press delete on your keyboard, but just remember that anything that is selected is going to be deleted, right? Which may give you the idea, what if I need to delete everything and I just highlight everything and then I delete it? That's fine, but I'm going to show you an even faster way instead of doing that. So instead of one by one deleting or double clicking on all of these, if you'll just right click your chart, if you have an object on your screen, you'll have an object list. So you can click on the object list. This will give you a little window full of all the objects. You can see everything that we added here. If you'll click on the first one, press Control A, that will like all, Control A like all, that'll highlight everything. Press delete and they're gone. Okay. When you do that, if you have an indicator loaded on your chart that draws objects like a lot of our indicators do. They draw lines, rectangles, things like that. You will also delete those objects. So if that happens, if you do the Control A and delete, you'll just need to refresh your time frame, or you'll refresh your chart. The easiest way to do that is H4, H1, and then any of those indicators will redo its thing, and it'll add it to the chart. Okay. So last thing for this video, and we'll move on to the next video. Next video, we're really going to start getting into some more in-depth trading. But for this one, and this is one of the most important parts. So hopefully you've stayed engaged, you've taken some notes, or you're prepared to rewatch this video. But what we're about to go over is measuring pips. This is going to be crucial for you as you use our system and implement our trading plan and our strategy. Okay, so what you want to do is we use the tools, the objects, to measure our pips, because it's a lot easier than counting the difference in price. We could always drop a horizontal line here, and I'm just giving you an example. Let's say we want to sell at this line, or I'm sorry, let's say we want to buy at this line right here, because the price is here. And let's say if price gets up here, we decide we feel like we should buy this one. So we're going to buy here. And let's say we want to take our profits right here, and we're going to set our stop loss down here. All right. We could look at the price and say, okay, 1.222, and this one's 1.220. And we could try to subtract those and get the exact amount of pips, so that we can calculate our lot size correctly when we take our trade. Or we can use an object, and it's going to show us exactly how many pips large that object is. So let me show you. When we have a rectangle, we put it on here like this, right? So now let's just do it over here. So let's take our rectangle. We know where we want to trade, and we know where our stop loss is going to go. So we'll start our rectangle here and drag it down. So this is our entry, our stop loss, okay? And if you don't know what an entry and a stop loss is yet, we're going to go into that, okay? So we're going to go into putting everything together, how to take a trade, how to calculate. You're gonna get all that stuff. So just stay with me for now. Just focus on the basics, which is counting pips. All right, so now you see when I start to adjust this box, there's some numbers out there. All right, the first number is how many candles wide. Okay, how many candles wide this object is. It's 16 candles wide. All right, that's not going to be too important to you, but that's what that means. The next number is the pips. Now it's shown as points, but you're going to calculate these as pips. So we see 265 points. You need to enter the decimal after that 6. Okay, so 26.5 pips. Let me show you again. 33.7 pips. 48.4 pips, 62.4 pips, 94.1 pips, 133.7 pips, 66 pips. Okay, I hope you're getting this. 150.3 pips. All right, it doesn't matter if that's 2.6 pips. Okay, that's 12.5 pips, 36.4 pips. All right, I'm not trying to get you dizzy by looking all over this chart. I'm just trying to show you some multiple examples of, when we're in the double digits, and triple digits, and so on. You're always going to enter a decimal right to the left of that last number there. All right, and that will give you your exact size. So now you know that if you were to enter here and your stop loss is here, quickly that's 26.8 pips. All right. Also, if you're trying to say, well, where am I going to take profit? That's at 25.4 pips from entry. All right. You can do that with any object. Obviously, a rectangle tool would be the easiest. We also have the crosshair tool. All right. So if you click the crosshair tool, this is great tool for demonstrating or counting pips. You can, maybe we want to just figure out how big this move was to the downside from here down to here. If I start here and I click and hold and I drag down, remember that's 4 or 5 pips to wide, and we are at 67.7 pips The only addition with the crosshair is you're getting the current price, which is that 1.21324. So you can see we're measuring 105.5 pips there. You're going to use that a lot if you're on the computer. Somebody's going to say, hey, I'm getting ready to buy this or sell that. You say, oh, let me see how wide the stop loss is. Oh, that's 100 pips, right? Or that's 67.9 pips. All right. How can you get that without pressing this and then doing that? For me, and every computer I've ever had, if I click my mouse wheel in like it's a button, it will automatically pop up. All right. And then if I just left click, it goes away. So I can grab the crosshair just by clicking my mouse wheel like a button. And it's been like that on every computer I've ever had, plus aftermarket mouses and all that kind of stuff. So really good feature. I use this a lot. You're going to see me using this all the time. We're always going to be counting pips. It's not because we're trying to go for thousands of pips. We trade in a different way. We trade very structured, using risk to reward and using percentages opposed to 100 pips, 200 pips, things like that. But we always need to calculate how large our stop losses are going to be before we take them. So you're always going to have to measure that. And if you're getting ready to take an entry, you're going to say, okay, here's that, there's this, boom, 25 pips, 24.4 pips. All right. So that's everything for this video. All right. By the end of this video, I'm hoping that you have a firm understanding, a very good understanding of how to navigate throughout MetaTrader 4. The main thing is that you're comfortable on the platform. Okay, you need to be comfortable as you're trading. You need to be able to move around quickly. Sometimes the market is taking off. You can see some of these moves happen very quickly. You need to be comfortable and very just like a habit where you can go from here to here to there. And having your platform set up the right way and knowing where everything is going to ensure that you can do that, right? It's just like having an office space. You want to keep it organized so that you can be as productive as possible. So next video that we're going to go into will be marking up charts. You're going to start learning how to view patterns. A really exciting video for you guys. I'll see you on the other side.